Hey guys, you're watching Grooves and Motivation Live with me, Jermaine Morgan. And I want to tell you something real quick. Stop asking for permission. I'm going to explain what I'm talking about in just a second, so stay tuned. All right, so let's jump right into this thing. I said I stopped asking for permission, and I'm like, stop asking for permission for what? What you talking about? Hang tight. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But first, let's jump into a little grooving. And what I'm using this morning for this groove that I'm doing, I'm playing around with this Eros looper and the Beat Buddy by Singular Sound. So just for the people who ask what I'm using, that's what I'm using. So all right, so I'm gonna play around with this little groove while I let you guys file in. Be sure to let me know where you're watching from. Let's get it kicked off. Yeah, this groove is slightly a little different. I'm like, okay, I can do it different this morning. Just trying some different stuff. What's up, Chad? Morning, Chris. My hands are cold, y'all. I appreciate that, Chad. Appreciate that, bass kitten. Over grooves like this that they're kind of different from the norm. I like to experiment and just see what sounds good, what doesn't sound good, and just see what's happening. I like doing that. Zuzi, Swaziland. Jerry, what's up, man? Melvin, Hampton, Virginia, man. Thank you for watching. Sim, Boston is in the building. Thank you guys for watching. See, we can create another section. What I'm making. I don't know where this is going. Yeah, I like that. Carrollton, Georgia. Okay, I got you. Virginia. Oh, I already spoke. Galvin, what's up, man? Thank you guys. I appreciate that. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah, C minor. Well, actually, this section here is actually in F minor. So I went to the 4 and treated it like the 1. First part of the groove was in like C minor, I think. I'm almost positive the first part of the groove was in C minor. So yeah, so when I go to the 4 here, I just treat it like the 1. Just groove over it. So that F minor. Owura? Owura. I think that's how you say it. But good morning to you. I already told you guys before on Grooves of Motivation, you're just simply listening to a practice session where I'm just trying stuff. So yeah, my hands are good and cold, so this is perfect. Kicking this loop. Close enough. And then I don't like it. Switch it up all together. Yeah, I have a fretless on the wall over there. I guess I'm ready to go on a cruise or something because I don't know what this is. It's harder to do this slow.
Trying to get my thoughts together.
Gotta keep working on it till you work it into speed or into the rhythm. I'm having enough fun with that. All right. Welcome. Grooves and Motivation Live, or should I say Practice Live? I should call that just Practice Live. That's literally all I'm doing is just practicing right now. But I hope you guys enjoyed that nonetheless. Seeing me fumble and come up with ideas, and hopefully you found something inspiring out of all of that. So anyway, I just wanted to jump into this today. It got real hot all of a sudden while I was playing. It was cold earlier, and this weather is going back and forth. And so give me just a second. I got my throwback hoodie on from my days at New Birth. So yeah, I got to come out of this coat. It got a little hot on me. But yeah, it was really cold. I don't know what it's like where you are in the world. But when I got up this morning, what I consider cold, I'm from the South, so what I consider cold, it was cold this morning, but now it's heated up a bit. So I think we're good. So I wanted to talk today about I stopped asking for permission. But really quick before I jump into that, I seen somebody mention something about me tuning down while I was playing. So P Santa Boogie, you said, what got you into tuning down? Do you need thicker strings? Not really. And what got me into tuning down was the demand for the music. To be honest, gospel music. I really started doing it when I was at New Birth, because a lot of the songs we were doing were in flat keys, and my music director was always looking for that low B flat, and I never had it. It's like I got a low B for you, Doc, but I don't got that B flat. And so after a while, after he would kind of mention it a lot, I said, you know what, I'm going to try this, because I was intimidated, to be honest. At first, I didn't want to tune down. I needed to get more familiar with my fretboard at the time. I knew it, but I, kind of get past that 12th fret and get lost. I still had some of that going on a little bit. I knew it, but I didn't really know it. So nonetheless, I tuned down and I started doing it. And I think what really got me into it, for starters, is one Sunday, I want to say he brought his bass. My music director at the time was a bass player as well, and he had a 6-string Ken Smith. And that thing was a monster. So he brought it, and he let me play his bass for that service, and his bass was tuned down. And yeah, the struggle was real, but it was a challenge, and I liked it. I liked the challenge. I said, you know what, I can do this. So I pushed myself off the ledge, and I started tuning down. So the challenge has been over the years, is tuning back and forth. So oftentimes, that's why you'll see me guess at a key or something like that, because I have to do a second thought, because I tune standard to teach, and then I tune flat for myself, for my own enjoyment. I play tune flat, but normally when I teach, I tune standard. I was tuning flat to teach years ago, and I see how confusing it was for a lot of people. So many years ago, I stopped doing that. But if you're just becoming new to me, you think I tune down all the time, and I don't. The newer lessons, I would say at least 5 or 6 years back, they are all standard tuning. So anyway, to answer that question, that's what got me into tuning down. And you guys were saying combine the Latin rhythms. You said 3/2 clef. Somebody else said something else. Ska fusion. I've never heard of that. I gotta look that up. SKA. I guess that's how you pronounce that. I've never heard that before. Believe it or not. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna look that up to see what you guys because I don't know every genre. Just because I play Latin / ska, Yeah, I don't know every genre. I just know what I hear. I know that if it feels good, if it sounds good. So if you guys, that's your like thing over there, and I was playing it wrong, charge it to my head, not my heart. I wasn't trying to play any particular genre. It was just it felt good, so I went with it. Right. All right. So Floppy, welcome, man. Just walking home from a long day at work. Welcome, welcome. All right. So let's jump into this thing really, really quick. I say quick as I do all the time. Make sure my camera isn't dying on me. Let's change this battery. Give me just a second, guys. I'm gonna give you a commercial while I change this battery. Bass players, it's that time again, and you know I had to do this one. This is for any bass player who's looking to improve your feel on some of this more soulful stuff, and you're looking to play something that feels a little different from the gospel stuff that we've been doing. This is just for you. Now, if you've checked out any of my other Bass Jam packs, you know exactly how this goes. There are 6 tracks included in this pack. There's a part A and a part B to each track. And also with the track, I'm gonna include the sheet music and tab for those of you who need this music. Maybe this is not so common to you as it is for some people, so that's no problem. I'm including the sheet music and the tab just for you. Also, you're gonna get 2 MP3s. One will include my bass take, what I actually played over it, and then you'll get one without my bass take so you can do your thing and rock out and have fun to it. And not only that, like I've done on every other jam pack, if you are a person who needs the additional help in terms of breaking down these tracks, because it might be a little complicated for you depending on where you are in your level as a musician, as a new bass player, I've also included the instructional for this where I go through and break down all 6 tracks. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is that I'm playing. I'm gonna show you the progression. I'm gonna show you how to play all these little crazy lines that we're doing throughout the song. So you have no excuse but to go in there and do what you gotta do when it comes to practicing. So if you're ready to learn and play some heavy bass grooves, check out the All Soul Bass Jam. I'll see you on the inside. Peace. Yeah, and that would do that, wouldn't it? In just a second here. I don't know what's happening with my camera. Let's see here. Sorry about that, guys. I apologize about my camera acting crazy today. All right, so anyway, jumping back into it. So hopefully that was informative for somebody that needed that information. So all was not lost there. Going to that quick commercial break. We needed our sponsors. That's how we pay for keeping ourselves on live and all that kind of stuff. Amen. So anyway, I stopped asking for permission. What do I mean by that? Well, I jotted something down earlier today. I believe, and this is what I wrote down, I believe a lot of musicians end up dying broke and or frustrated simply because of waiting for that big opportunity. You know, that one day I'm going to get this call to do this gig. And the truth of the matter is, for the majority of us, that call never comes. A lot of us do get that call, but for many of us, that call never comes. It never comes through. And what I decided to do, even in my own personal career, was I decided to stop waiting. Stop asking for permission. When I say asking for permission, it's almost like you got gatekeepers in every area of the music industry, or even, you know, where you live. Like we all know who they are, or you have some type of idea if you've been playing music for a while. The guys who get all of the quote unquote gigs, or they determine who's going to be the next up. You know, they call, they make the call. Their yay or nay determines if you get hired or not, that kind of thing. So oftentimes, if you're in those situations, especially if you're young, you find yourself kind of playing to, and I mean like catering to those personalities or those different people, the powers to be. You know, you find yourself kind of trying to play at those people to quote unquote get on. I can't tell you, and some people think I'm that guy, and I'm really not that guy because I can't tell you how many people have came to the city or either were talking about moving to the city, and they were Atlanta. I don't live in the city, but when I was near the city, I would have a lot of people that were reaching out to me because I guess they thought I was one of the gatekeepers, and I'm not. So I had a lot of people calling, hey man, I'm looking for a gig. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. And the idea in music world, hey man, put me on. That's what it means. Put me on. And it's like, I guess the perception from other people seeing certain things that I was doing, they thought that you got to be the guy. But the thing they didn't understand is I stopped asking for permission. Right. So many of the opportunities that came for me by the grace of God and by me putting in work and me deciding, you know what? I'm not going to wait on you to call me anymore. I'm not going to wait on you to tell me no. I'm not going to wait on you to tell me I'm not good enough for this opportunity. Like if there's not a what's the Tyler Perry slogan everybody started using a few years ago? If there's not a room for me at this table, that's fine. I'll be on my own, right? And so that's pretty much what I've done throughout my career is as I've seen certain spaces, certain areas were kind of closed off to me. I said, okay, cool. I got you. I hear you loud and clear. Well, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to Home Depot and buy me some wood and some nails and get me a little nice little saw and I'm going to build me my own table, right? In a sense, that's what you have to do in terms of moving forward with your career, not literally going to Home Depot, but like you have to decide what it is it's going to be for you and stop waiting on people to let you down. Because that's really all you're looking forward to. Because if you're looking for the okay of somebody else externally to make sure that you can move forward in your career, then you're going to be waiting a long time because you're not the only one that wants it. And you don't know who all is talking to this particular person. And just because you cool, just because you're like the ideal guy, you might even be first call for a lot of things right now. But that's not a guarantee because at any moment, anything can change. Right? So many different dynamics can come into play. And I've seen it happen time and time again where there's a cat like who was in with the crowd and you think because this cat has been around, he's been faithful, he's part of the group. Now when it's time for this next wave of people to get a shot, this dude would be just walk right in, and it didn't happen that way. I've seen it over and over again. Somebody will throw a curveball, and this cat who's been waiting patiently in line, all of a sudden they put somebody else in this guy's place, and it makes no sense. And this other cat comes out of nowhere, like, wait a minute, like I've been sitting here waiting for the last 20 years for a shot. That's a bit much. Let's say 10 years. I've been waiting 10 years for a shot. Now it's my chance. And you bring this guy in or you bring this girl in, whatever applies for you. And so nothing is promised. So you're sitting there doing all these things, waiting and hoping that somebody sees your diligence on all these different things and they're going to just give you a shot. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. So the approach, again, that I've taken to that is like, you know what? I'm done asking for permission. I'm done asking for permission. I'm not going to wait for you to tell me I can't do it. All right. I'm not going to wait for you to tell me, oh, now you're finally good enough. We'll let you in. No, that's all right. I'm good. I'm good. And it might sound like, it's a little aggressive, but you have to get aggressive about your future. If you don't, somebody else will. That's the best way I can put it to you. Somebody, I'm looking at this comment down here. Ronald says, good morning, Jermaine. Can you do a video in the future on the topic of advantages and disadvantages of joining musicians union and being a part of being represented by an agent or obtaining work? I may look into that, Ronald. I've never been a part of any union and that kind of thing. It's so funny. I went to school and I learned all of this stuff about commercial music and working in the industry. And it's like, once you get out there, all of those rules and things that you've learned, depending on where you are in the industry that you're working in, all of that stuff can be out of the window and quickly. I knew some musicians that were part of the union. And I don't know a lot about that, so I'll have to do some more research in terms of that particular topic. But again, a lot of what people have seen, even in my own career from me, was me pulling my own strings, so to speak, making things happen, creating something when there was nothing, so to speak. And you have to build it. I'm literally in that stage again now. It's like every few years you go through that where you have to kind of start over again and rebuild something from the ground up. And by doing that, people start to take notice of that. And that's the benefit of stop waiting for permission. Like once you take things into your own hands and you get things moving and shaking, of course, everybody wants to jump on a wagon that's moving, but nobody wants to jump on it when it's standing still. So as long as you're sitting there and you're not the go-to guy, because here's what I've seen. We think a lot of times, okay, once I become this great musician, or once I get my chops, and once I do this, and once I do it, that's the thought of a musician who hadn't been out here doing it for a while. You think once you get all these things figured out, then the calls will come. Not really. Not really. I'm going to just be honest with you. Not really. Because a number of things can happen with that. You can have, number one, people have their favorites that they go to. And if you're not part of their favorites group, or the list of contacts in their phone as their favorite go-to musicians, then you're probably not getting a call unless one of their people that they look up to recommend you. And then it's a different thing about how you walked in. But oftentimes you can work on your chops and get it all down packed and all that kind of stuff. And again, they're looking over you. So again, I've seen so many musicians who have all the right ingredients and they just get looked over. These cats just simply get looked over, and it's not because of a lack of skill. So that's what I hope to impart into you today, that like your skill is important, but it's not the most important thing. There are a lot of different areas that we can work on to improve. And the biggest thing is you being a determining factor. Like, I'm not going to wait on anybody. That's why social media nowadays has become so popular. It's become so popular now because nobody, even with having a record deal and that kind of thing, it puts the power in the hand of the artist rather than the power in the hand of the record company or the promoter, producer, whoever. If I grow a following on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and I'm able to demand from my audience, so to speak, meaning make people show up, then I show the record company that, hey, I don't really need you. Same thing with outside gigs. If I am the cat who's built my platform, and there's so many bass players that I can name, musicians in general, but just speaking of bass players in general, who've built their platforms and now they're doing gigs by themselves. Like they might have them and a drummer or them and their band, but it's like this person at first was a no name and they worked on their personal platform. They took control of their own career. Even I've seen it with comedians, like one in particular, Kev on Stage. This cat, funny guy, but you know, he wasn't the typical comedian in terms of like what we're used to hearing. Well, I'll say what I'm used to hearing with comedians. He had a different approach. It was more like, you know, more God-centered, so to speak, clean comedy. He doesn't curse or anything like that. So seeing him and what he built over the past, I don't know how long he's been building. I would say at least 10, 12 years, maybe longer than that. But what it's become, his platform has become, because of what he built with his own platform, because I know he moved to Hollywood, he and his wife and his family moved to Hollywood, LA rather, and they were trying to get some, I don't know his whole life story, I'm just trying to, you know, paraphrase, so to speak, but they were trying to get some opportunities, and he was getting a few opportunities in Hollywood, but a lot of things was just jumping over him, so he decided to build his own thing. And from that, he's launched the career of several other comedians, as well as giving people the opportunity to share their gifts, to share their skills. I'm sure some of you might follow him, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. He has Kev on Stage Studios and all this type of stuff that he's building on his own. He didn't wait for somebody to tell him, hey, it's okay. Now you're free to be you and you're free to be creative. You have to sometimes take the reins, because what I'm learning, even in what I do with this, what you're watching right now, Grooves and Motivation, this is not for everybody. I get it. This is not everybody's cup of tea, but there are people who want what I offer. There are people who, because I'm not just only a person who teaches bass lesson. There are life principles, that things that I've been through in my own personal life that I want to share and help people navigate. There's things I want to share with young men, young fathers, young husbands. There are other elements, other areas of me that I want to be able to share with people and encourage people in entrepreneurship how to keep going. I have personal people that reach out to me. Some of them are well known on social media, but they reach out to me in private, and we talk strategy, we talk business, all these different types of things. So I know there's a lot more in me to share other than just base lessons. No disrespect to base lessons. I love it. I love doing this, but this ain't all. So me looking for a place to house everything that I offer, it's hard. It's hard to find it because most people want to box you in. Either you're going to be this, you're going to be a bass player playing behind somebody, or you're going to be an artist that's all you do. Just shut up and play, right? Like the monkey with cymbals. Just shut up and play the cymbals. And I'm not that guy, right? So you have to create something. If there's no space for you, you have to create it. You have to create it. You're responsible for it. You can't get mad at somebody because they, number one, don't know everything that you offer, and they're not making a stage for you to do everything that you do. And here's when you know that you probably need to create something. If everywhere you look in your surrounding area, you have a certain set of skills and there's no outlet for those skills. Might be something that they kind of do this, but not really. And then there's a little place over here that they kind of have this, but your specific set of skills and what you do. Number one, nobody else is doing it, at least where you are or in the area that you're trying to do it. Nobody else is doing it. Nobody else is offering it, and there is no platform for it. Or it could be not necessarily a set of skills. It could be a hunger, a desire that you have to see a certain thing happen, and nobody's doing anything about it. And it doesn't seem to bother anybody. And right now I'm kind of getting more into purpose, but it doesn't seem to bother anybody but you. Then that might be your indication that, hey, you need to stop waiting for permission. I heard this sermon that I was listening to not too long ago by Dr. Miles Monroe, and he was speaking about being the one to initiate change. That was one of his biggest thing. I think the slogan of his ministry is, we are agents of change. We initiate change, that type of thing. So he mentioned, for an example, a cat talking about at his church that they don't have a youth study group, and nobody's doing anything about it. So the youth are just fading away from the church and that type of thing. He said, well, if it's not there, you start it, you create it. Why are you waiting for somebody else to do something that's a pain point, that's a passion for you? Well, I'm not qualified to do it. Well, get qualified. What is it going to take for you to get qualified to do this thing that you're doing? I mean, how qualified are the people who are currently running things right now? How qualified are they? Right? So you have to really kind of look at some of the things that you're just letting go, because there are some things that are within us, and we won't do it because we're waiting for the powers that be to give us permission to do certain things. Now, I will say this, especially when it comes to organizations and that type of thing. There is an order and a protocol that you have to go through to make sure that you're not just rogue out here just doing whatever. So I'm not telling you to, because I know some people will take my words and they'll just run and won't put no structure or anything to them. But you need to talk to whoever you need to talk to, present the idea to them. If they shut it down, you need to come back. You need to come back with the idea, give them more concrete, maybe do your homework. And because I notice a lot of times when people shut down ideas, it's simply because they can't see the full picture. So if it's something that's an idea of yours, it's your responsibility to give a person the full picture of what the whole entire thing looks like. I'll never forget, my wife and I were young. We started this t-shirt, I say young because I'm 40 now. And so we were young married, right? This was before kids. And we had this t-shirt business, and we presented it to this millionaire about the idea of investing into our business. But the thing I didn't know as well as I do now, we didn't really have a business plan, for real business plan. It's like my wife was designing these dope shirt concepts. We had these scriptures and all this type of stuff on these shirts, and we knew the idea was a dope idea, but we didn't have a business plan as how we were going to move that forward, how we were going to market it, who we were targeting specifically. Like we knew like young people, young adults like these shirts, but like being more specific about the dynamics of this, because if a person is going to put thousands of dollars into your business, they need to know, where's my money going? How are you going to use my money? Are you good at management, right? Those types of things, because I'm not just going to hand you, several thousands of dollars so you can start this business and you're not good at accounting. You're not, like, how are you going to pay me back? You know what I'm saying? So all these different things that we didn't know because we were illiterate as it pertained to the business that we were trying to be in. We were just creative, right? And that's the thing with creatives. Oftentimes we just get a creative idea and we go with it. We don't really have any structure. So sometimes it's good to at least do some research or get people around you who know this area well, who have your best interest in mind to help you pull this thing together, so that when you present it to somebody, hey, I want to do this. It's not, I ain't asking you to do anything. This is what I want to do, but I want to be in order when I do it. Here's what it's going to look like. And we're going to lay out, just say if it was a youth study group, that type of thing. We're going to do this and we're going to cover, this is the first 3 months. Here's what I'm thinking. This is what you've kind of been preaching about, but I think we can kind of go in this direction along the lines of maybe what you've been talking about, because you know how pastors are, right? So maybe you can kind of coincide a little bit with what they're saying, but make it more palatable for people your age or for the youth so that they understand it, and figure out a different strategy in the way that you want to go about it, and like list it out. All right. On day or week 1, rather, we'll do this week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So we have about 6 weeks of things that we're going to do. Right. And so once you break that down and give a strategy and look like you put some thought into what you're talking about, then it's going to be hard for somebody to turn you down in terms of what you're talking about. And especially if it's not going to cost them anything. Right. So that's, to me, a strategy you want to kind of go about with if you're trying to present something with your church, your ministry, that kind of thing. Have a plan. Don't just have an idea and get mad because it was a good idea and they shut my idea down. Even when you like in hindsight looking, I speak often about me creating gigs for myself. I even talked about in my book, 10 Ways to Success, The Working Musician. I talked about my little Johnny's Pizza gig, but in hindsight, doing that now, I would have a different strategy about how I would approach that, how I would go to the store owner, even to negotiate more of a money situation, right? This is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. Can we agree, right, to this amount? All right. And so not only that, I would have had something in place that, okay, once we get this to this place, the next tier of this is going to look like this. And so now when we get to this next tier, I'm expecting to raise whatever we're doing payment wise. Say if we did, for instance, if we started with 150 just to get it started to see how it goes. All right. Next tier of this. Now I got this many people coming in here on a regular. Let's raise this payment up, or let's look at another way that we can do that it benefits the both of us. So now I go into this thing with the strategy of exactly what this looks like. What's the win? Clearly defining the win for the guy that owns the restaurant or that kind of thing. And I think that's oftentimes where we go wrong. I know over the years when we have an idea, we don't clearly identify the win for the other person, right? If we want them to be involved, or if we want them to co-sign off on the idea, what's the win? Like even in the church youth group, I know I'm jumping back and forth, but even like if you're starting a church youth group, for example, what's the win for the church, the pastor? All right, well, we can attract more youth to this place. And if we get more youth coming in here, what happens next? Then their parents are probably going to be attracted as well. So in turn, we build a really, really strong youth membership, and we bring the parents in as well. Right now, that van that y'all got sitting out there that y'all never drive because y'all got nobody to go pick up. Now you have purpose for that van, so it didn't rot and go to nothing. Country churches know exactly what I'm talking about, right? We don't have to wait to Vacation Bible School to use the church van. Now we have a ministry that we can go out and get these youth involved in the community. So now this opens up things that we can do in the community because we have people, hands to help. We can, over the summer, this group of youth who have been meeting here every single week, we can now get them involved doing community renovations for different projects and that kind of thing, helping out, cutting yards, doing all these types of things in the community. Now I give a big list of things that's a win, because that makes, we all like to look good. That makes the church look good, right? So who's gonna say no? Like, oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, I get credit for this. I'm the pastor. I get to put my name on this idea that I didn't have. I hate to say it like that, but some people are looking for the win for them. So if you want somebody to be involved, once you stop asking for permission and you start moving, identify the win for the people who are coming on board to help you. How do they win? What do they get out of it? Are you the only one that's going to get something out of this? Or are they going to be the ones? And it got to go. Money is good, but it has to go beyond monetary, right? It has to go beyond monetary. It has to be something, because what if you don't have the money to promise up front when you're getting started? And by the way, I'm talking to me too. So if you don't have the money up front to get started, the win for the person that you want to involve in whatever it is you're trying to do, because you're going to need a team around you to help you get whatever it is off of the ground, even if it's one or two people. You're going to need somebody else. And so they have to be able to see the long-term vision of the thing that you're doing, not just a short-term profit and only you're the benefit, the direct benefit of that profit, right? So we have to look at ways that what we do benefits more than just us when we're coming up with these strategies and coming up with ways to move forward with our ideas, right? So I don't want y'all to just keep sitting and waiting around on somebody to give you a shot. Don't keep doing that. Like, another thing I was going to title this talk today was, you got to ask more questions. You got to ask more questions. And I know most of us are like, we don't want to bother people and that kind of thing, but I'm learning more and more. I'm literally seeking out mentors in several areas of my life right now. And it's people who might already be within my circle. And that's the thing about it. Sometimes you could be overlooking people who are within your circle who could help you figure out how to do what it is you're trying to do. I have a person that I reached out to literally either last week or the week before last, and we had a conversation, and he was able to give me some nuggets of wisdom. It's in a certain phase of my life that I'm in, ministry-wise, and some things that I want to do as far as my career is concerned. This person doesn't necessarily do the exact title thing that I want to do, but I know he has experience with working in this area in a different section. Let's just say he has experience working with people. He's been working hand in hand, face to face with people for years, with groups of people. And that's something that's a strong suit for him. And he's learned a lot. Now, he's not well known around the world, but he's known in his area. And he has a good name. He has integrity concerning his dealings with people. So I pulled on that resource. Like, yo, I need to know. All right, what's some things I need to look out for when I'm doing X, Y, and Z? What's some things, how can I better approach this situation? And I pulled on somebody who was right in my network. Sometimes we're so busy trying to get to other people who look like they got it going on that we skip right past the people who could really help us, right? So the people that you're asking for permission who don't want to help you, you might have somebody that's right in your backyard who knows the answer to what you're trying to figure out, and they could tell you, because they've done it. But you look over those people because they're not famous. They don't have enough followers. So let's stop doing that, right? Let's stop doing that. So that part of asking, there's nothing wrong with that. That ain't necessarily asking for permission. That's asking for help. And the Bible speaks about, a wise king seeking counsel, that kind of thing. You want to be wise in whatever you're doing. So seek counsel. Seek somebody who can help you in the area, who's done it before, who's been there before. When I wrote my first book, there were several authors that I knew personally. They weren't no New York Times bestsellers, but they had books out. And they knew the process of writing a book and what all went into writing a book and some things that I needed to know. And I didn't know prior to talking to them. So I pulled on resources of people who were within my network. Asked them questions about, okay, what do I need to do? Because I done put out a lot of music, but I don't know nothing about writing a book. I read a lot of books, but I know nothing about writing and publishing my own book. So I pulled on people within my network, and I stopped asking for permission. I didn't wait for somebody, oh man, you don't know enough to write a book. Who's going to listen to you? Apparently a lot of people, right? So I pulled on the resources within my network, right? There's nothing wrong with asking people who are within your network for help. So This is for somebody. If you're always DMing somebody on Instagram, DMing somebody on Facebook, or whatever the case may be, and these people are ignoring you, now you feeling some type of way because you're always trying to reach out, quote unquote, and these famous people don't have time for you. Now you're feeling some type of way. You don't know what these people got going on. And not to mention, they don't know you. I'm sorry to say, it's hard to get something from somebody in terms of substantially if you're reaching up to get help from somebody who doesn't know you, because most of the information that those people give are relationship driven. So that means if they have a relationship with you, they're going to pour into you all day long. But if they don't know you, they're going to be looking at you crazy. Like, wait a minute now. I don't know you to be passing out this information. Now we can do a session, we could do a consultation, but as far as me just giving information away, so some of that information you might end up paying somebody for. It might be somebody right in your network who can do it. Now, with all that being said, here's the thing to be aware of, or to beware of rather. Just because they have done something similar to what you do, you always judge a tree by the fruit it bears, right? So there are people who are within your network who are very good, and they might be good at playing their instrument. They might be good at whatever the particular thing you're talking about. But if they have no results or no fruit to show for what they've actually done. Notice the person that I said I reached out to that was in my network. I said this person had worked with people for many, many years, 20, 30 years. They've been working with people, and you could see the results of their work, that it was very good. And the people that they worked with over the years had good things to say about them. They had a good name. They had good integrity still intact from the people that they've worked with. So they have a track record of fruit that they've produced that was good. Not just, oh, he's just talented, man. He can teach, he could do this. And like, that's not enough. What's the track record? And if the track record is just reckless, and this person's name is horrible, then you might want to be careful of the wisdom, or I ain't gonna even call it wisdom. You might want to be careful of the counsel you take from this person, right? You might want to be careful of the counsel that you take from a person that does not have a good name. Be careful of the counsel you take from a person that does not have a good name. Just because they're in your network, and I said all I said, that doesn't mean you need to go to that person, because bad company corrupts good character. And you could be a very, very good person, and that could kill your momentum getting started because you got counsel, or you got a stamp of approval from the wrong somebody who has a bad name. And now people are looking at you along the tips of like, man, if he's in cahoots with this dude, I definitely ain't doing nothing with him. I definitely ain't doing business with him. Or if this person signing off on him, he must be just like them. So you want to make sure, and you should know with the people in your circle, you should know what type of integrity, what type of name, what type of accountability that these people have, so that you don't start getting information that could be detrimental to you, right? Or start like, you know what I'm saying, linking up with somebody that has a terrible reputation, because that ruins your reputation before you get started, and it could cause you to not grow. Just as soon as you start coming up, folks looking at who you're connected. Oh, you connected with him? I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So we want to be careful of the information or the people that we associate ourselves with their information, because you don't want to pick up a bad philosophy, right? Or some people can be straight out negative. They might be the ones, this is the other extreme. They might be the ones who have done what you're trying to do, but they didn't have much success in it. And because of that, they're very bitter. So they discourage you when you're asking them for advice. They tell you, oh man, that ain't gonna work. You better find you something else. You better, like, wait a minute, that ain't what I asked you for. I didn't ask you if this was gonna work. I said, could you give me some advice or some do's and some don'ts, right? Be clear. When you go to people, be clear. Don't fish around. I made this mistake a couple of times. You get intimidated by a certain person that you're talking to, and you're not clear about what you're asking them. So they end up giving you an answer that you don't need. So I got to stress that fact. Be clear about when you go to these people, what you want, what you're after. Be clear. Clearly define it as well as you're defining the win for them. Be able to clearly define what it is you want, what it is you're wanting. What's the win for you? Here's what I'm trying to do. And I want to do it for this particular purpose. Just because it didn't work for them don't mean it won't work for you. They might have just been the wrong person, right? Or they might just not have stayed with it. So there's a number of factors that can go into play when it comes to these types of things. So you just can't dismiss something because it didn't work for that person. Anyway, I just want to give you guys some nuggets there. And at the end of the day, stop waiting. Stop waiting on folks to okay you to be a success, because it's already in you. Everything that you need, you are already given to be successful. I heard that. This was a long time. I had to be 21 or 22, somewhere in there, when I heard that. You've already been given. There was a pastor that said this. He said, you've already been given everything that you need to be successful. So if you're looking for a certain thing to get started, you already have everything that you need to get started right where you are with what you have. You have every single thing that you need. Somebody might be saying, well, I want to do YouTube, and I want to do, these types of videos, and all I have is my phone. You got an iPhone? Okay, the camera on that iPhone is probably pretty good. Here's what you do. Turn that phone around this way, not that way, not the front. Turn it to the back. Use those back cameras on your iPhone. Get you some lighting. Set that camera up. It's so easy now. Everybody online is, there's, you can find a ring light for a little bit of nothing now, probably $20-$30 online now. Back in the day when we were getting into this stuff, they used to be high, $300 and $400. So the excuses are out the window now. It just takes a minimum investment into yourself and to get started. Or you can start with what you have. Open a window. Get close to a window. This is talking about the content creators. Get close to a window. Get some light coming in where you can see. Lighten that room up. Turn that phone on. Record. Stop making excuses. Stop making excuses for what it is you're supposed to be doing. Right? Stop waiting for somebody to give you permission for it. This is your wake-up call. This is your I got a friend of mine that we talk on a pretty, let's say on like month to month, maybe twice a month we'll speak. But I'll check in with him. He'll check in with me just to kind of see where we are as far as keeping ourselves motivated with our businesses and that type of thing. And every now and again, I'll call him. So this is your accountability calling to check in. So this is your accountability checking in with you guys to make sure that you're on the path to success, making sure that you're doing everything necessary. Stop waiting for permission and get after it. Do the research, do the homework, get the help you need. I didn't even say that. Invest. If you don't have anybody in your circle that knows anything about what it is you're trying to do, find somebody who's successful in that particular regard. Reach out to them. See how much they charge. Pay them for their time. Folks might not make time for you for free, but if you talk about, hey, what do you charge me for an hour of your time? Or can I take you out to lunch and take you a pad, pencil, or I would say a pad and pencil or a computer or something like that, because if you're on your phone, unless you tell them, look, I'm taking notes while you're talking. Because if you tell a person that up front, most of the time that person is kind of flattered that you are taking notes while they're talking, right? Most people won't get offended. But if you're just sitting there, you're actually taking notes, but it looks like you're texting, then that's going to be offensive. So you want to let that person know, hey, if you don't mind, I'm going to be taking notes while we're talking, because that shows that person that you value their time. And so if you start pulling your phone out, putting your notes in your phone, because that's for me, I'll tell y'all all the time, my phone is full of notes. And now I've gotten wiser about taking notes when I speak to people and I know they're talking some of value and I really want to remember that. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to probably pull my phone out and I'll tell them oftentimes, hey, while you talking, I'm taking notes. I'm writing all of this down. So those are some things you want to consider. Those are definitely some things you want to consider in terms of getting what you need from people. If you don't pay them for their time, take them out to lunch or see what, how you guys can link up or something. But it's better to always let them know what the win is for them. And what if they say, hey, I don't charge anything, man. I'll just do it. Well, offer something anyway, right? Offer something anyway, especially if it's somebody that you're not really close to like that. Offer something anyway in exchange for their time and their energy, especially if it's a skill that you're trying to learn from them that's going to potentially make you some money. Offer something. It's just some wisdom that you guys can take, and hopefully this will help you moving forward in your career. And again, all these things that I share here, I had to learn this stuff the hard way. I really had to learn this stuff the hard way. So hopefully this helps speed things along for you in your career, and you take heed to it and figure out how it works for you in the particular thing that you're trying to use it for. Floppy says, more great words of wisdom, sir. Man, thank you, Floppy. And I seen the other comments that came through. Benjamin Clay, what's going on, man? He said, your tips on how to pick out the bass line out of the music or recordings. I have done that in several videos on my channel. So if you go, I think one of the most recent ones I done it with the Kirk Franklin breakdown of the what is the name of the song? Kirk Franklin Maverick City. Bless Me. There's a video on my channel where I'm picking out that line, so that maybe that gives you a little bit more clarity on how I do that. So anyway, thank you guys for joining in today with me and hanging around and listening to my 3 cents on why I stopped asking questions. Hopefully you'll stop asking, or stop not asking questions. I'm sorry. Why I stopped asking for permission. Hopefully you'll start moving now. This has put some fire up under you, and you're going to get some things done. I believe that you are. And, oh, yeah, I always forget this. But you guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me outside of YouTube. You can follow me on J Morgan Bass on Instagram. So that's J Morgan Bass, BASS, on Instagram. So you can follow me there. So be sure to go over right now and follow me on IG. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for today. I really, really appreciate it. I see I have some bots in the chat, but we're just gonna go ahead and ignore that. So anyway, thank y'all, man. Have a blessed day. I'm out. Peace.